What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank you for clicking on this video. Today we're going to talk about Scream 2022, or as we're all calling it, Scream 5 or 5 Cream, however you want to go about it. And of course, this will be a spoiler free review. I will have a spoiler review shortly after this. If you haven't done so already and you enjoy content like this, then go ahead and smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. Show your support. I will highly appreciate it. So let's go ahead and start with the review. So Scream 5, 5 Cream, whatever. You know how this thing goes. And the premise is basic, that the killings start happening again, but they are all connected to the killings, to all the murders from the past, from the original. And of course, like how all the Scream movies tend to be, well, not all of them, but most of them, mainly the original 4 and this one as well. It's self-aware. It knows what it is. It's self-aware. It's that meta slasher type movie that's self-aware of what it's doing. And throughout the film, between the dialogue, the conversations of the characters, especially the new characters that they are pretty much establishing the rules of what's going on. It tells you, hey, you know, it's all connected to the original. Every time that this happens, especially in horror franchises, especially with the trends that's going on right now, kind of like how Halloween did, where it's kind of a reboot, but then it's also a sequel, and they call it a requel. It's even mentioned in the film. This is a requel, where it's a direct sequel to the original, but it's also not fully a reboot because it is continuing what the original did. And it's telling you straight up, this is what it is. So it's staying up to date with that current trend that's going on right now, mainly with the horror franchise. And of course, the kills, some of the kills are brutal, I will say. I say some because there are some where I thought there were going to be kills, but people actually ended up surviving these stabbings. But they are, the people that actually do end up dying are actually pretty brutal. There was one character who survived, and I thought she was gonna get like mutilated, but she survived. But still, the way that she got stabbed was pretty gory. Speaking of what the first film did, you know, we all remember what the first Scream did, that it was pretty much telling the audience the tropes of who the killer usually is. It tends to be a certain type of character, and we were seeing that on screen, but at the same time we were kind of second guessing ourselves because we weren't really sure if it was them or not. And this film does that as well. It tells you straight up. There's this one character who tells the new Sydney, like the new main protagonist, saying, okay, how long have you known this person? Because this person could be the killer, you know. It tends to be that. And it tells you straight up who it is. They point them out, and obviously they're gonna deny it and all that, but it does that same trend as well here. But you can tell the reveal, honestly, it's predictable. It's not that hard to figure out what the reveal is because it puts it right in front of your faces. Now this casting, the cast of the group of friends, for the majority of the film, they don't seem like a group of friends. They seem more like enemies. And especially when they're getting told that, they get them told straight up, like, hey, this is what usually happens. Whenever there's a killer, it's usually among the group of friends. So then they all start turning each other, and they have like no faith in one another. Everyone starts to suspect from one another, saying, oh, well, you could be the killer, or how do I know that you're not the killer, blah, blah, blah. So they really start bickering back and forth. And of course, it's not only the new characters that we get introduced, but we also do have returning characters, the big three: Sydney, Dewey, and Gail. This wasn't a negative for me, but this might be a negative for some people. The legacy characters, they don't overstay their welcome, especially Sydney, since she is, you know, she's the Scream Queen, the main protagonist that we've known for almost 25 years. She doesn't overstay her welcome. She's hardly in the movie. They don't really show much of them because they have to pass on the torch, but they're more of supporting characters in this movie. Now, I know this is a slasher film, so I guess it can't really be a negative. At the same time, you can't help but to point it out and nitpick it. Some of the characters, they do dumb things. I mean, it's kind of normal to do dumb things, but there's this one particular character that they could have avoided their death, and This character is gonna hurt when you see them die. They could have avoided their death because they go back towards the killer knowing how these things work, knowing how the rules work. And when I saw their death, I was like, my goodness, like, you could have thought it, like, come on. You should know better. I will say that I believe that there is potential with the new female protagonist, the character of Sam. And the reason is because when you learn her history, when you know who she is and who she's connected to, it really adds a strong character arc, some potential for character arc, but also not just to root for her as a hero. You also start thinking, okay, can she be turned? Can she also become evil just because of the fact of her history? And so I really want to see where they go forward with this because of the history. That's one thing that I did find interesting, and I think it has potential to do a lot of things. But in general, I think Scream is a movie that it could improve over time. I only say that because of the motives behind the killings. They're connected to a trend that's going on right now that still hasn't hit its peak, and it's similar to Scream 4, where they were using the element of someone wanting to be famous. You know, Sydney's cousin, her reason to start all this because she wanted some fame, she wanted some glory, she wanted some attention. So she was using all the streaming technology, social media, and of course back then it's not what it is now. It was still kind of developing. It wasn't hitting its peak as it is now, where we have endless amount of technology, endless amount of apps that you could do to get famous. Anyone can get famous. So I think Scream 4 is more relevant now than it was back then. And this film kind of reminded me of that because the motives behind the killings, they're connected to a trend that's going on, to a self-aware trend that's going on right now in Hollywood, mainly in the horror genre. So, but it's something that's still relatively new. I mean, we've seen reboots is nothing new, but the whole requel trend that's starting, for example with Halloween, that's something that's still pretty new, and it looks like that's something that's gonna happen with other franchises. I mean, if you feel kind of in between the fence about it, it's something that we might watch it 5 years later, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. If they're still continuing this franchise, we might look at it and we're probably gonna enjoy it better and appreciate it more. So at the end of the day, I will say that Scream is worth having a movie night. Alright, so Scream, if you've seen it, then go ahead and let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. If you like this video, then smash that like button, smash the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep watching this channel and keep watching movies.